In this lecture, we will discuss the third tissue type, muscle tissue. So what makes muscle tissue unique from the other three types of muscle tissue? Well, muscle tissue contracts or shortens in length when stimulated by an electrical impulse. So where does the electrical impulse that stimulates muscles come from? The electrical impulse comes from the nervous system. There are three types of muscle tissue found in the human body. The first is skeletal muscle, the second is cardiac muscle, and the last is smooth muscle. Each type of muscle tissue has some basic structures. For instance, muscle cells vary in shape for each type of muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle cells are long, cylindrical fibers. Cardiac muscle cells are roughly rectangular and branched. And smooth muscle cells are spindle-shaped, which means they taper at the ends. The nuclei of muscle cells vary for each muscle tissue type as well. There are two types of muscle cells that are uninucleated, meaning they only have one nuclei per cell. And the last type of muscle cell is multinucleated, meaning it has more than one nuclei per cell. The different muscle tissue types are under different kinds of control. One muscle tissue is under voluntary control or under conscious control, which means that you can control the muscle by thinking about it. The other two muscle tissues are under involuntary control or not under conscious control, which means that you cannot control the muscles by thinking about it. Let's take a closer look at the three types of muscle tissue. The first muscle tissue is skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is under voluntary control and is attached to bones of the skeletal system. When skeletal muscles contract, it pulls on the bones and movements at the joints occurs. The structure of skeletal muscle cells are long cylindrical shaped, striated, and multinucleated. The second muscle tissue is cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle is under involuntary control and is located in the walls of the heart. When cardiac muscle contracts, it squeezes the chambers of the heart to pump and circulate blood through the heart and body. The structure of cardiac muscle cells are rectangular shaped and branched. These cells are also striated. However, cardiac muscle cells are uninucleated. The last type of muscle tissue is smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is under involuntary control and is located in the walls of hollow organs like the stomach, blood vessels, air passageways, and digestive system passageways. When smooth muscles contract, they constrict the vessel or passageway, shrinking its diameter. Contraction of smooth muscle helps move substances and food through passageways. It helps close off vessels in passageways, and it causes the pupils to constrict. The structure of smooth muscle cells are spindle-shaped, meaning that they are tapered or comes to a point at their ends. Smooth muscle cells are uninucleated and do not have striations. The last of the four main tissues of the human body is nervous tissue. So what makes nervous tissue unique from the other three types of tissues? Nervous tissue is unique because it has the ability to produce an action potential to communicate. It has the ability to create, receive, and conduct electrical impulses, and it coordinates and controls body activities. Nervous tissue is composed of two types of cells. The first type of cell is the neuron, and the second type of cells are the neuroglial cells. The neuron is the nerve cell of the nervous system. Its function is to receive, create, and conduct nerve impulses called action potentials. The neuron consists of three parts. The first part is the dendrite, which is responsible for receiving electrical signals. The second part is the cell body, which houses the organelles such as the nucleus. And the last part is the axon, which is responsible for transmitting electrical signals. The other type of cell found in nervous tissue are the neuroglial cells. The primary function of neuroglial cells is to support, nourish, and maintain the health of a neuron. There are several types of neuroglial cells. They are the microglia, the astrocyte, the oligodendrocyte, the Schwann cell, and the ependymal cell. The microglia is a macrophage, which is a cell that engulfs foreign substances. The astrocyte is a cell that provides nourishment to the neuron. The oligodendrocyte forms the myelin sheath of a neuron in the central nervous system, and the Schwann cell forms the myelin sheath of a neuron in the peripheral nervous system. And the last neuroglial cell is the ependymal cell, whose function is to line the ventricles of the brain and central canal of the spinal cord.